Bearcat Bounce podcast. Back at it again. Happy Monday. Happy National Championship Monday. All eyes are on San Antonio except for ours. Ours are not on San Antonio. Ours are on the Bearcats. That's right. All eyes hope to eventually be on the big stage, the big San Antonio stage, the big Indianapolis stage, the big take me there. I want to go there. Final Four stage. But right now, our eyes on are on this little thing called the portal, the beautiful, wonderful portal. You giveth, you taketh away, and we're going to talk about all that. The end of a season brings the start of something new, and it's going to be fantastic. And you know what? It's a Monday where I'm going to bring in the guys, the crew, the squad. We are assembled. I think we have at least three of us are assembled. Maybe the fourth joined while I'm doing my diatribe. But without further ado, I'm going to bring them on. For Mr. Aaron Smith, Mr. Chad Brundle, Mr. maybe Ryan Royer. Gentlemen, how are we?
Doing good. Wow. I went to talk and that came out. Recovering from 4 days in Gatlinburg.
Okay.
It was a good little getaway, good little break. I did have some work to do. The car ride home today.
That's work.
I probably should not have been driving. My phone was sounded like a slot machine in Vegas the entire ride home. But I had my trusty assistant in the back seat to stay abreast of all of the goings on in and around Bearcat basketball. She's turning into a handy little information tool these days. We've trained her properly to cover the social media aspect, so I don't have to deal with as much of it as I used to. But it was a good weekend. We went to Dollywood on Saturday.
Okay. So what comes with Dollywood? Break that down for those who do not know, aka me.
It's an amusement park. Like it's a legitimate. Like they have like 5 or 6 like actual like legitimate roller coasters.
Okay.
Good food. We did a country dining thing for lunch where you order like 3 main dishes and 4 side dishes.
Oh.
And they just continue bringing it out to your table until you're done.
Wow.
Yeah, we had fried chicken and pot roast and catfish.
Oh, wow.
And mac and cheese, mashed potatoes and gravy, corn pudding, and a salad.
And they just keep it coming. Wow.
Like literally, it took me like 2 hours to not feel like I was gonna like sit down on a bench and just curl up and take a nap.
I was gonna say
it was a lot of the places you go to like that aren't very good. It was really good. Like it was tasty. And then you get dessert on top of it. I had some peanut butter parfait, yeah.
Okay.
It was pretty good. It's pretty good. And then walked around and did the park thing all day. And then yesterday it was raining a little bit, so I went to the aquarium.
Okay.
That was a little bit of a disappointment. I had heard great things about the Gatlinburg Aquarium. It was okay. It was solid, but
going up against Newport Aquarium, you got a pretty high bar to cross over.
Yeah. So but other than that, we had some good food and hung out. The chalet was very, very nice. That we rented out. A little chalet action. Verbo, yeah.
Okay. And it's called a chalet.
Yeah, chalet. Had a game room. We had a pool table. We had a foosball table. So a little team foosball action.
Let's go.
Last night to get the competitive juices flowing.
Need it.
And then got up early and hit the road, and pretty quickly the phone started dinging, and a lot of activity from 5 o'clock last night through arriving back in Cincinnati this afternoon. So
isn't that the damn truth, man? Well, I'm happy you at least kind of got away.
Yeah.
A little minuscule getaway. So is everything at Dolly World? Is it Dolly Parton themed?
Yeah,
Like
it's her. What? Like they're playing. We heard Jolene probably 17 times
okay.
walking around the park throughout the day. It was. I mean, it's loud. It's
you were
crowded. You just hear it
working
in the
9 to
background.
5, you know?
Yeah.
What a way to make a living.
It was surprisingly though. I didn't really know what to expect. I'd never been. I'd never really planned on going, so it wasn't something I had done a whole lot of research on. But it was going to be it was 85 and sunny on Saturday.
Oh wow!
So I was like, let's go to Dollywood.
Well,
So
let's be outside.
Yeah.
Let's make it happen. So did you hear the conspiracy theory about Dolly Parton?
No.
That like her arms are just completely tatted up. That's why she's always wearing long sleeve shirts.
Wouldn't surprise me.
Okay.
Wouldn't surprise me. She wasn't there though, so I couldn't confirm.
Okay. Fantastic. Well, Aaron, how are we, sir? Did you survive the crazy floods and everything else that kind of hit the Midwest? From what I hear, it was a wild handful of days.
The river that runs through Athens is definitely crazy high, crazy high. Close to breaching all of the embankments around it. So it got very close. Outside of that, the 2-year-old decided to split her eyebrow open. She fell and hit the by the stairs and got herself right here. No stitches though. We got lucky.
Wow.
They said it maybe could have used 1 stitch, and they didn't want to do it for scarring purposes. There, it would have looked like she had an eyebrow piercing before.
You would have been like the cool parents, though.
No. When was the last time eyebrow piercings were cool? Get out of here. Setting her up for failure. So
fair.
And then with all the rain, I think the kids were all stir crazy. Although the 14-year-old did get to enjoy on Friday night what has become the Zoomers Rocky Horror Picture Show, and he went and saw Minecraft movie, and we heard all about how everyone went crazy and popcorn everywhere. And
when the chicken jockey, I heard that was a big part. I've been seeing that all over
that's the one.
Okay, well. So he went wild, threw his popcorn when the old chicken jockey came down.
Yeah,
how about that?
Doesn't matter that a bucket of popcorn is like $42 now or whatever. But
that is correct. Yes, that is correct. You know, it's funny, Aaron. That was going on, and then did you hear the Rizzler and the Boom Crew? They, the Costco boys, they laid out that new track. Tell me you heard that.
I did, and I almost sent it to you, but I knew that you probably had your alerts on for that. And
grilling, it's a sizzler.
They do shout out Ohio in it.
Gordon Ramsay.
They do shout out Ohio in it.
Yeah, what is that all about? Are they from Ohio?
I don't know the answer to that question. I would have thought you would.
Well, Royer knows the answer, so that was kind of a segue for Royer to pop in.
Ohio, I guess, is a meme. It's just
Ohio.
Being from Ohio. I don't know. It's I'm trying to keep up, man.
Did you kind of love the Rizzler part though?
I haven't heard the song, but I saw him throw out the first pitch for the Mets.
Oh shoot! How'd it go?
He bounced it. He bounced it.
He's like 4.
Did I see correctly that I saw somebody posted a list of their bracket pool, and the person in first, their name was R. Royer.
Yes, I am winning my brackets.
All chalk.
You got Houston or Florida?
Houston.
I'm going to be honest. With you. I got the text message as well about Royer in first in that bracket pool. I guess what was it on the Discord chat? Something.
Yeah.
Trilly Discord. Yeah. And boy, I tell you what, all I said was, yeah, my boy knows ball. My boy knows ball. That's it.
What? One of my dumbass friends sent it in the board.
Somebody was bragging that they were in 6th place.
Really?
but the number 1 was R. Royer.
Yeah.
It's like, I know him.
I picked a good bracket this year, man. I'm
Chalk
in
City.
Yeah, I'm there with that group that whoever threw that up there. That's one of them. And then I'm in a group with Alec and a bunch of some of our buddies from football, and then some of his buddies from, I think, back home, a bunch of random people.
You're first.
I'm winning both right now. I don't know how the last round, like the last game works.
Pretty much, if you have the winner and they win, you win, no matter what.
Yeah, but I have like a 65% chance to win. Is that just strictly Houston's odds of winning?
No, it's like if Houston loses and someone has Florida, then they could potentially jump you. Okay. Like if they're like close enough to you. I mean, you should be able to see like points total available, and then pretty much that's the main thing. Like right now I'm in this big money one, and I'm like in the top 5, but there's a guy ahead of me that has Houston as well, so I won't win no matter what. But you're gonna win because Houston's gonna win. But kind of enough leeway into it. You know, this is National Championship Monday, so we're gonna keep this tight. We're gonna keep this close to the vest. We're gonna rock. We're gonna roll. We're gonna go right through it. And speaking of close to the vest, we've got our good buddy. We've got our good friend. His name is Danco Joe. He owns Danco Transmission Auto Care, and I tell you what, that place knows what they're doing. Head over there if you had some issues with the rain, with the weather this past weekend. You know, maybe the car was like, I don't like this rain. I'm going to break down on you. Head over to Danco Transmission Auto Care. He'll check it out. He'll fix it up. $10 off the oil change. 10% off your next fixing. We love you, Danco Joe and Danco Transmission and Auto Care. Guys, before we dive into...
I do have something to promote here real quick.
Ready.
I know you're going to be upset with this, Brent.
No, I'm already in tears.
Wednesday night, BCJ podcast.
You're going to do it, aren't you?
News Cincinnati Bearcats GM for basketball, Corey Evans, will join us live at 8:00.
Let's go.
He's a little busy. The national championships tonight. He's a little busy.
Tell Dave to get on his things, his ones and twos, and just flip a switch for Bearcat basketball for that pod in particular.
And Nico Palazetti will be here Monday. So Corey Evans on Wednesday, Nico Palazetti on Monday after the spring showcase. And also, this will make Aaron very happy. We have finalized, so you guys might want to clear your calendars once again.
Clear.
Tuesday, May 13th, 513 day.
Oh.
The BCJ Marathon is back.
Yes.
Yes. So there you go.
Yes. Oh, heck yeah.
They're saying they want you to be part of the BCJ podcast Wednesday, Brent, with Corey here.
Oh, Jason sounds on. Hey, you know what? I'll have to see what the I mean, I should be available, but no, that's Dave's show. Dave doesn't infiltrate the BBP. I believe in Chad and I believe in Dave. So that should be amazing with Corey Evans. Can't wait to hear what one of the best in the biz has to say. So I'm pumped about 513 Day. Shouts to it. Here at the Cincy Light Studios. Nothing better than 513 Day live from the Cincy Light Studios and everything that brings. I mean, last year was awesome when we did that.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I mean, there's a reason that we get the best guests. We do the best job. We have the Bearcat Journal following, the best listeners, the best viewers. So it all full circle covers itself. So I just wanted to get all that out there. Corey Evans Wednesday, 8:00.
Big.
Nico Palazetti Monday, right after the spring showcase. And then 513 Day, the BCJ Marathon is back on. I don't know the exact hours and details yet, but just expect 513 Day to be here with us for a significant portion of time. So
boom.
Let's do this.
Let's do this. That's big time. That is big time. You know what? I'm excited. That was a fantastic pod, Chad. Thank you for teasing that. Now everyone tune in on Wednesday for that one. Yet again, another fantastic BBP present. I'm joking. That would be fun if you read it. But before we dive in,
normally on a championship game night.
Yeah, no, we'll be quick though. But no, we do have to mention it before we dive in so that we could, don't kind of cheat on it. But quick thoughts on the Final Four. Houston is what Houston is, and I tell you what, I had an Uber driver on the night of the Final Four, and I was talking that guy's ear off about Kelvin Sampson, and how he said, he crafted everything that he's been doing with the Bearcat teams of old going up against us, could not handle us. So your guys' thoughts on the Final Four and then the national championship game tonight, because this is a sports podcast. Yes, it's a Bearcat podcast, sports as well. So kick it around the horn. I mean, arguably one of the best Final Four games of all time. Phenomenal comeback by the Houston Cougars. Unbelievably, in the dust, looking like Cooper Flagg and the Duke Blue Devils going to walk their way to a championship. But no, Kelvin Sampson and the boys in that crazy practice drills that they do on offensive rebounds. It's just nuts. Chad, thoughts? Who you got tonight and Final Four? What a great couple of games.
I thought Duke and Houston were the two best teams. I thought Houston, because of their defense, was the only team that even had a chance to beat Duke, and they almost got blown out. Like, there are a couple plays here and there in the final 10 minutes from the tide turning on that, and Duke comfortably winning that game. Houston does what Houston does. I said this last night, I think. You have to kill them. They are not going to die. You have to kill them. You have to put that stake in the middle of their heart, drive it in, and kill them. Because if you just leave them there on their deathbed, they're going to Undertaker and pop out of the casket and get you. I love Florida. I think Florida coming in was the second best team in the tournament. They've been great. I think Houston can slow down Walter Clayton Jr. I don't think they're going to stop him, but I think they can slow him down enough that Houston gets the dub and Kelvin Sampson gets his national title.
Unreal. Florida averaging, I think, like around 85 points per game in the tournament. And then, of course, Houston allowing right around 60, 65 points per game. It's just a huge, phenomenal contrast of play. Aaron, prediction, thoughts on the Final Four? Were you able to check it out, take it in on Saturday?
No, but I've had Houston in my championship and throughout my brackets. So they were who I thought would win. I thought that Duke would slip because I don't believe in anything ACC. Certainly not Duke. Get out of here.
Was it a foul on the offensive rebound? On the rebound?
Yes, it was a foul.
Throw.
He had him.
It was definitely. Yeah, it was a foul.
He had him hooked with his left hand and then went over the top with his right. That's a foul.
Oh, I love those Duke tears. Give me all the Duke tears.
But
you got Houston tonight, Aaron?
Yeah, I think Houston will do it. I think that they're gritty, they're tough. They are everything that we wish we were and what we were once upon a time. So, I think that the Cincinnati brand of basketball that is currently being represented by Houston will win a national title.
They do not play Cincinnati's brand of basketball. They play Houston's brand of basketball. I hate it. It's such a cop-out.
Good.
Such a cop-out.
That's fine.
Royer.
What? My prediction?
Did you watch the games on Saturday?
I'm sorry, I was looking at my bracket shit. I need Houston to win. I think they have the most cohesive team. I like the way they play. I think they do things the right way. It's just Florida's offense is so high-powered, and they can kind of level out the intensity of Houston's defense with good shot making and kind of their attack rate on offense. But, I'm going Houston. I think they're due. I think their head coach is due. I think that type of culture and how it's been brewing there for years now, I think it's due to finally pay off. So I'm going Cougs.
Let's go. Yeah, I like Cougs too. In that game on Saturday.
Shout out Dana Holgerson, baby.
Oh, baby. Shout out. Red Bull Vodkas, baby. Yeah. RBV's on lock. Let's go.
Doug Thurmans is on the call tonight, just so you're on alert. I'm
liking that. Dougie shows. Let's go. But yeah, I like Houston as well, man. And I tell you what, Houston is a team full of dogs. As I was listening to another podcast, and they had your boy Dan Hurley on, Chad, and he said Houston is a pack full of wolves led by a wolf. So I tell you what, that's a team that's going to be tough to take down. Yeah, I mean Walter Clayton is really good. There was a tweet going on around there that says Walter Clayton is so cold you forget his first name's Walters, which is pretty funny. But you know what? It's going to be a great game, and I'm excited to see it. And it's actually starting 30 minutes earlier, which means we got to get locked in on a little Bearcat basketball talk. The season ended. Chad and Aaron, and I mean everyone had their kind of takes on what happened. Obviously, the 88-80 loss to UCF. We don't really need to rehash that. What ended up being the Crown actually had some pretty exciting games. I mean, it took like a 17-point comeback yesterday for Nebraska to come back and beat UCF to cut down the nets and don the crown, if you will. But Cincinnati finishes the season 19-16. It's a quick trivia time for all you guys. When was the last Bearcat team that had 16 losses in a season?
John Brannon's last year?
Nope. That one was a little weird because it was COVID season, so
yeah,
not as many games, but
I have no idea, Brent. We're supposed to be moving this thing along, not playing trivia. Let's fucking go.
All right. It was Mick Cronin's fourth season. He finished exactly 19-16, exactly like Wes Miller's fourth season. That's a pretty cool trivia time, if you ask me. 2009, 2010. Thank you very much, Dylan Letzi. So yeah, that was it's a fun little trivia time. And then the next season, of course, the squad made it to the NCAA tournament as a 6 seed.
The Goon Squad.
The Goon Squad, yes. And I was, first trip back to the tournament in a little while. So something to hang your hat on there. And anything on the season itself, guys. No. I mean, we can talk about this more in the off season. Obviously, the finish was done. So let's go ahead and break down what has happened the last 24 hours. Of course, the two commits out of the portal yesterday. Chad and Keegan had a nightcap rehashing those. But let's talk about the three names that have entered the portal from the Bearcats first, and then we'll kind of tie the two together. First off, started with Dan Skillings Jr., then you saw Rayvon Griffith, and most recently Josh Reed. I'm not going to go out on a limb here when I say I don't think that is the end of the names being listed, but those are the three so far. Initial thoughts and reaction to just those names entering the portal. Chad, I'll start with you and then kind of kick it around. Is this kind of just, it seemed like they got back from Vegas and this is, the scenario at the end of the season meetings, and kind of the next step was this.
Yeah. Dan, I think we all kind of expected. Ray, I think that's a tough decision for Ray. But I mean, I'm guessing he had his meeting with the staff and they said, we don't know. We can't guarantee that your role is going to increase significantly from a year ago because we don't know what the roster looks like yet. And Ray said, I'd like to have more, an assurance of a more prominent role. They weren't able to promise that. He goes into the portal. Josh, I think it came down to Josh looked at the last 40% of the season and said, I played and performed at the level of a Power 4 starter. I would like to be compensated and assured that my minutes are going to match that of a Power 4 starter. I think Cincinnati saw him as probably more of a higher end rotational piece, not a, guaranteed you're going to play 25 plus minutes a night and make the money of a Power 4 starter. So Josh wants to explore his options, and that's how this goes sometimes. He had the opportunity to play himself into that type of situation. I think it's also important to remember Josh Reed's not an NBA guy, right? So there is a very good chance this is his last year to cash in on his basketball ability. Not to say he might not go play in Europe or whatever, but given the money that's being thrown around right now, this is a chance for him to go into the portal and potentially make a boatload of money. Right. And if Cincinnati wasn't, in a position where they could assure him of that money, it's with the way that the system is now, it is perfectly within his decision-making ability to say, I'm going to bet on me and I'm going to see if I can go get that big check. And I don't think there's any hard feelings there. I think that's the reality of where the sport is at this point in time. So, it sucks because I think Josh is a great program guy. He's a guy that 5 years ago, under pretty much any circumstance, he's going to return and be kind of, that locker room guy that you need. But as it stands, there's a chance for him to go make a bunch of money. And more power to him. He earned that. He put in the work. He got himself to that point where he thinks he can be in that stratosphere. So go get your money.
Yeah. Aaron, you've had your opinions on the roster and certain moves that you want made. The 3 that have entered so far. Thoughts on those?
See ya. It was not a good season. I have been fully on board with a complete roster overhaul, and none of the 3 that were in there. I mean, you could argue that Josh made a difference this year at times, but at the end of the day, I still think you have to look at the entire body of work, and he was trending up until the end of the season, where it started to come back down again.
Yeah, he had that 11 game stretch. He averaged right around 9 points. That was when he started about half of those games. But the team lost 6 of those 11 games as well. So
it's not great.
No, and on top of it, he had a very poor showing out in Vegas as well. So
I also think that the way that we all want this roster to be constructed is your starters need to be able to create their own shot. And I just don't see, regardless of the amount of work that Josh Reed puts in this offseason, he's not going to magically find that trait. And you can't be going into next season, depending on what your center can do. Who knows what our starting 5 next year is going to look like, what skill set he's going to have. But your starting 4, if it were to be Josh Reed, can't be a guy that can't shoot. If Sean Abayev, as a freshman coming in, if he gets the 3 spot, he's going to have some nights where he looks like a freshman. You going to rely on Josh then? It doesn't sound like a great plan. Otherwise,
I disagree there. I think Josh would have been a perfect partner for Sean Abayev at the 3. An older guy, a veteran guy, a guy that you can bring in and be steady and know what you're going to get from him. He's going to defend. That's the one thing Sean Abayev has not shown. Now, he's not being asked to defend, but we don't know if he can defend because we haven't seen him defend really anybody. So I think Josh would have been a perfect complement to Abayev.
I don't think Josh Reed should be. Sure, we definitely disagree because I don't think Josh Reed is good enough to be a partner to start anywhere at the Big 12 level. I just don't believe that he was quite there. So I don't know. That's he's the one of the 3 that you that I at least kind of raised an eyebrow at, but even still, we good.
Yeah. Roy, or anything furthermore on these? Dan obviously is the one that you kind of think about. Just obviously we harped on it the entire season. After the first 2 years, you are looking for him to be the star, take that next step and be kind of a Bearcat great as he continues on his career. Obviously things didn't quite go that way, but I mean, you look at the teams that are on him early, not take it for what it's worth, but it's saying that Baylor, Gonzaga, LSU, Alabama, and others, you're looking at a long, multifaceted player. It's just, sadly didn't quite work out here. And then obviously Rayvon is, I thought Ray looked good in the minutes that he had. I don't know the ins and outs of what the reasoning is behind certain amount of playing time and whatnot. And things of that sort. But, I think that it's a guy that's very young in his career still, a lot of chance to move up and see what he can do at a different place. And then, of course, last is Josh Reed, who, it just take Reed for what he is. He was the king of Cincinnati for a handful of weeks, but interested to see what his next move will be. Anything furthermore on these guys, Ryan?
I was a little surprised by Josh Reed, but surprised because the amount he kind of grew into the role this year, thinking that, he might want to stick around and see where it goes. But, when Chad breaks it down, kind of explaining money wise, where he's at with his career in terms of basketball, it makes sense. Because, it's kind of a gamble. It's like I could bet on myself but money wise, I'm going to be pretty locked in regardless on if I earn the starting spot again next year versus might being able to make a little bit more money as being offered like a starting salary, so to say, somewhere else. But yeah, not surprised about Dan leaving. I mean, I think that's probably for the best, for us and for him, kind of just the way things unfolded with him this year. I think he needs a restart because for some reason this year things weren't clicking with him. So, he has potential and maybe he can tap into that somewhere else. So wishing him luck with that. And then Rayvon, it sucks seeing a guy that, he's kind of like wears Cincinnati on his sleeve and everyone wanted him to do well, but he didn't really. He got a couple bursts, kind of like what you mentioned, but there's nothing you feel like you're really losing by him leaving. You don't feel like you're really missing anything other than kind of like someone that, takes pride in this,
City.
Culture and like this city. But in terms of production, which is really what's most important for this team right now, which is what's been lacking so much. But yep, I mean, we'll see. Hopefully we're going to have to add a big scorer in some way, somehow.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Yeah.
How about this tweet real quick? Fran Fraschilla.
Ready.
I'm guessing there are 500 D1 players that will make more than the Suns' Colin Gillespie's $578,000 salary this year. One of the best college guards of the last decade.
Yep.
More than 500 players will make more than an NBA solid role player in Colin Gillespie, who's making $578,000 this year. That's where we're at right now.
It's insane, Chad. It really is. You hear the numbers just tossed around. I mean, you see it all over the place.
Yeah.
It's wild. But hey, you know what? That is what it is now. And, Chad and Aaron, you guys have done a great job in the past, breaking down kind of the other things that going on in the NCAA, especially with Dave as well on the BCJ pod. So I'm sure as the house settlement and things of that sort continue to work itself out, we'll get a little bit more of a deeper breakdown into the effects on that. But it just seems like the money's going to keep churning for the time being. So it's crazy. Very crazy.
Real quick, Jason, do I think any of these guys could come back if the market doesn't match what they thought? I assume anyone in the portal is gone. I know Ray left the door open. Maybe that comes to fruition. I think if you make the decision to go in, odds are far greater than not that you will be staying in the portal. Unless, there are some guys that have gone in for the sole purpose, Flory Badunga, of renegotiating their deal because everybody else on the roster left. And you feel like I should be, one of the prominent pieces on this roster. Give me some more money. Kansas gave him some more money, so he stayed at Kansas. Yeah. So, that's kind of where things are at. If they go in, I think they're in. How much do I think Dan gets in the portal? If you believe the list that Jeff Borzello put out today for Dan, he's going to make a lot. He's going to make a lot. Like $1 million or more. Okay. What did we talk about? Coaches see a guy like that, and everybody thinks they can fix him. Everybody thinks they've got the answer to get that guy back on track.
Those programs that he's mentioned with, though, they can afford to have a guy like Dan Skillings maybe not pan out.
Sure.
Yeah. Well,
sure.
But also it's, Aaron, to your point as well, it's also a program that is not going to say, hey, Dan, we want you to come in, be our star.
The guy, right.
We're saying we want you to come in, use that length that you have, use your ability to do these kind of, tweener type, getting rebounds, this, that, and the other. Be a star role player, if you will, which I think that was kind of the mold that Cincinnati kind of didn't have the ability to do. Instead, we needed Dan to be more than that, and he just could not fit the bill.
Wolfie, this is a great question. Bring this back up some other time soon, because I think it's a very interesting topic, because I think UC has survived doing more with less for a long, long time. And more with less is not the current model. It does not favor the current model. If you're operating motorandi is doing more than the places that are spending double, triple what you're spending on your roster, it is that needle is much harder to thread than it used to be. So it's an interesting point.
Yeah. Chad, can you bring up Sid Singer's thing on Ray Vaughn as well? That's the thing on Ray. It's just like I saw a lot of moments where it was puzzling why he didn't get more minutes, and that's why I just don't know the behind the scenes stuff. And I just think, with him just being a freshman still, now going to be a sophomore next season, I think the ability for him to maybe see more court time, and kind of just develop his game in that sense. I don't know. The Ray Vaughn,
I think one problem with Ray was that Josh was directly in front of him, and Josh had done the things that they were asking Ray to do. Ray hadn't got to the point where you could put him in and know unequivocally he is going to do his job on defense.
Yeah.
He hadn't got to the point where really offensively, other than straight line drives and being a hustle guy, he didn't really have a place yet that had developed offensively for him.
Yeah.
And it sounds easy, but just put him in there. Well, I know we look at the results and say what you did didn't work, but they were trying to win, and they felt Josh gave them a better chance to win in those situations than Ray did. So Josh is the guy that earned it. And I think that having him in front of Ray took away maybe some opportunities to give Ray a little bit more of a chance to grow this year. And if he stayed, now that Josh is gone, he probably would have had that chance to be that Josh Reed type, work your way into the lineup. But guys don't want to work their way into the lineup when they can go get more money and have a more defined role on that team going forward. So, look, Sid, everybody right now is blaming everything on the coaching staff. I get it. But some of it is also on the player and their timeline of development. Mm-hmm. And Ray just hadn't reached that point in his timeline where he was ready to jump up and grab 15, 17 minutes a game, 10, 15, 17 minutes a game.
So out with them in chat, obviously, and this is the end of the names entering, but they kind of go in on their own chord. So just stay tuned to the board and to X.com, the Everything app. So we'll see as more movement happens. But yesterday, as mentioned before, in comes first Kirk Risa, which pretty interesting because all the smoke was around Sincere Harris. Sincere dropped his 6 p.m. Commitment time, not his commitment time. He just said 6 p.m. with the eyeballs and everything. The whole entire Bearcat sphere went up in flames. Like, oh baby, lock in. And then all of a sudden you think, oh, maybe he just committed early, but no, it was Kirk Risa committing. So back-to-back commits. Obviously, a lot of people say that Sincere Harris is one of the best on-ball defenders in the entire country. A lot of people say, obviously, if he can develop his shot, get a little bit more offensive skill going to him, it's a very eye-opening player, especially for Cincinnati. A lot of dog in him. And then Kirk Risa, obviously, Bearcat fans should remember him. They played him out in Maui when he was at Arizona. Played him a couple times when he was at West Virginia as well, a few times. And he is a guy that you hate to play against because he gets under your skin, but one of those guys that you love to have on your team because he gets under their skin. Chad, you had a nice long back and forth with Keegan about this. Go watch that if you guys want more from Chad on that, and then Chad, any more lingering things that you want to add as far as those two. But Aaron, your thoughts on the additions. Ryan, anything else more you want to pepper in on them as well?
Go ahead, Ryan.
Both kind of have an edge to them, which I think we can all agree was missing from this team. But it's how do these having that edge in their game translate into like Cincinnati style? Like, are they gonna, bring that and have that same energy with us? We hope so. And I think how that's gonna mesh with guys that have been here, if they can all kind of conjoin along and kind of ride with that wave, and hopefully it's not kind of like butting heads at first, because you're mixing. Kreese has been, what is this, his 5th year? Going to be his 5th year?
Going to be his 6th year, but he played sparingly in 2 of those years. Yeah,
so he's got experience, but you hope it's been measuring up to be, him having his best year this year and not kind of fading away, kind of like a CJ Frederick. They both can shoot the 3, kind of like that, right around that 40% mark, but you kind of see what happened with CJ. He kind of just fizzled away with his age. So hopefully we can, have that good 3-point shot out of Carissa, and he can kind of carry us with some of that energy. Same with Sincere. It's just this team still needs like a scoring wing. I don't think either of those two answer that. I think they do, slightly boost us in kind of that lack of toughness department that we were experiencing last year. But I don't think it fully solves that. And 2, you can't solve that problem with just 2 guys that are just freshly joining the team. So I don't want to put all my eggs in that basket being solved. I don't think it's anywhere near that, but step in the right direction there. Still need a lot more offensively because, I don't think we can rely on, Jizzle and Day to be, enough. They didn't prove this year to be like consistent enough, especially from the 3-point line. So still need more work.
I think that the rotation at the 1 and 2 got significantly better with the addition of Kirk Risa. This is a dude who is not afraid to bark at Luka Doncic. He's definitely got the dog in him that we've been begging for to see out of somebody, anybody. We were all the meme or the gif poking the Bearcats with a stick. You gonna do something all season long? It shouldn't just be on, is Wes going to get a technical to get his team fired up? No, you got a dude now in Kirk Risa who is, as Ryan was saying, going to get under the skin of whoever they're playing. I can only imagine the emotions that dude is going to have when it comes time for the crosstown shootout. And he's played through the Big 12 before. He's got I guess you can say he's got the SEC experience. I haven't played this season now with Duke, but he came in with Arizona, with Kentucky. He came in with, I was picturing blue anyway. We talked entirely too much Duke already on this podcast. But he came in with Arizona. He played with West Virginia. He knows what this conference is all about. And he's going to be able to, we talk all the time how it's hard for a guy to come in and be a leader out of the portal. But I think this guy is built for that, especially in this conference. And this team has sorely lacked that. And the staff saw an opportunity to bring a guy in who can step in immediately as an older guy, an elder statesman at this point, but a guy who's been around the block with several teams now. Somebody somewhere on Twitter said that he is Thanos collecting Big 12 stones for his glove.
He was in Arizona and never played a minute in the Big 12. Does he gets an honorary Big 12 stone, even though he never played in the Big 12?
Right. Sure. A little honorary. Yeah.
I'm just a little concerned. You have a guy who's on his 4th team. How much is that like embodying, I guess he's got his own kind of personal fire, but how much is he going to be able to light under our team that's truly lacking, and how well is that going to mesh kind of when it's hard to build that type of thing immediately. And I hope it just doesn't turn into a kind of like,
That's
where
the
he's
that's the new
Yeah.
NCAA. That's where we are. That's the environment.
If they're going to allow 1 year free agency, you're going to see 1 year free agency. Like we have to take that out of our brains. Because for the longest time, I've been anti guys that jump around. But if the NCAA is going to incentivize you go in the portal, you get more money, then everybody's going to go in the portal and try to get more money. Like that's, I would do it. You would do it.
Or
I'm just saying,
one or the other.
Yeah. It's just how effective can that style land with our team, being that it's on its fourth trial, and how much is that how much of that edge is he going to have, and can it rub off on like our guys? And that's just, I'm not saying it's not going to happen. It's just,
I will say, Royer, he played 9 games at Kentucky due to an injury. The Kentucky fan base, Big Blue Nation, loves him. He played 9 games there. They supposedly he was a huge, fan of the team on the bench, just always cheering on. And it seems like his teammates really loved him too, from what you can gather from different interviews, from different things that they've been writing. And then when he entered the portal, West Virginia wanted him back. West Virginia loved him.
The epitome of you love him when he is on your team, and you hate him when he's on the other team.
Right, exactly. So that part I think is something where I think he'll be able to fit that mold. I think he'll be someone that'll, no matter the setting, he's going to be his own guy. I mean, I just remember when we played Arizona out in Maui, I thought he was lights out. I thought he was amazing. And when you just have the ability, I mean, he led the Pac-12 in assists for 2 seasons. He was a guy that was a great passer. He shot 42% on pretty solid volume at West Virginia his 1 season there. But, it's also a guy where you saw he went to West Virginia, Bob Huggins thing happened. So he has to play for, Josh Eilert and an interim coach. So then that thing dissolves. Then he gets hurt at Kentucky, So for me, the whole thing leaving Arizona in the first place is kind of puzzling, but hey, I think he's a good ad. And then Sincere Harris. The crazy thing is everyone talks about Sincere shooting. Do you know he started his career 5 of 9 from 3 at Illinois? Illinois was probably
gone all wrong since then.
They're probably like, damn, we got a sharpshooter coming in here. But St. Vincent St. Mary guy, Chad, I remember the Bearcats were kind of recruiting him a little bit out of high school, obviously. And LeBron tweeted at him, congrats, little nephew when he committed to Illinois back in the day. So a lot of things there, but phenomenal on-ball defender. But Chad, I'm going to pass it over to you now. You got supposedly all signs point to Jizzle and Day, the return. Connor Hickman working on another year of eligibility return. You bring in Sean Tillery, another guard. You bring in, now you bring in Harris and you bring in Kirk Risa. Harris can play some of the 3, probably, guard some wings out there. But man, they seem pretty stockpiled on the guards as is right now. Just kind of your thoughts on the first 2 additions, and it's kind of more of a scope of the team and the next steps as the portal continues to wear on.
Me?
Yeah, you.
Like we talked, I mean, I think this was a much needed infusion of some dog, some toughness.
Mm-hmm.
And I think as much as we talked about it all year, over and over and over again, I'm okay with that being the number 1 priority in terms of like what they got done first. If you identified these are a couple dudes we think can help change the mentality in that locker room, go get them. Because this team didn't have it. Say what you will, this team didn't have it. So if that's kind of what you're, when you're looking at your board, what are the things we know we need to prioritize?
Yeah.
If that was, look, we can get this done, bring these 2 guys in, and instantly give our locker room a lift of some toughness, some dog, go get that done. And then you can start working on the rest or continue working on the rest from there. Perfectly okay with that line of thinking. Do I think both are a guarantee to be exactly what this team needs in terms of production and winning? No, I'm not.
Right.
Because there are holes in each of their games. There are questions with each of their, what they bring. But I think it's a good start. I think it's an applicable attempt to address what caused problems a year ago. And if you can't start there, where do you start? Right? So from there, the focus has to be the 4 and the 5. I think that is an absolute necessity to dial in and figure out what the next steps are there. That's a lot harder because there's not a lot of those guys in the portal. Like,
right.
I think one thing that is a lot of fan bases are the victim of this right now. So I don't want to circle out like it's an exclusive UC problem. But a lot of fan bases are wondering what's going on in the portal. But guess what? If you start to look around, there's a lot more openings than there are good players at the top of the sport right now.
Yes.
So you might have to be a little bit patient. You might have to kind of figure out that, not even like as the dust settles, but as the next 2 weeks continue to play out before the portal closes, you might have to play a little bit more of a waiting game. You might have to be a little bit more selective's not the word, but direct in terms of this is what we need. We're going to go make an aggressive play for it. It's very difficult right now because, again, there's so many teams looking for what the same thing Cincinnati's looking for. Right. It's not as easy to just to go, okay, this guy goes in the portal. That's the guy we want. Go lock him up, get it over with.
Yeah.
Well, they have agents now. Who are the agents connected to? What's the money situation? Are you in a position where maybe you can get a little bit of a discount because you have the connections? Like, that's all the stuff that's playing out behind the scenes right now. I still think when all's said and done that they'll take a couple big swings. Not in a position yet to predict or put out there who I think those big swings will be. But I do think they are going to have to shoot their shot on a couple different guys. Like, say, okay, we're pinning this guy at the top of our board and we're doing whatever it takes to go get him.
Right.
I think that part is still to be seen. So, we're going to have to watch and see how it plays out. I think they need at least 2 bigs, maybe 3.
Yeah.
Depending on how the rest of the news plays out. Because, look, here's the reality. In losing Josh and Ray, you're losing 2 guys that can play the 4. Are they ideal, perfect fits at the 4 in the Big 12? No, not necessarily.
Right.
But you can play them there, or you could have played them there and bought yourself some time. Now those 2 guys are gone. I think Dylan is going to be gone still. Maybe that is up in the air still because he hasn't announced it. But my guess is that he's going to be gone. So you're probably going to have to go grab 2 or 3 guys at those positions and swing big on one and then try to do the Kerr, Kriisa, Sincere Harris, like Frankenstein. We don't have enough money to get this guy in one. So we're going to have to get 2 of them to fill. One fills the rebounding role, one fills the shooting role, something along those lines.
I mean, to your point, everyone wanting kind of that same thing is that, you take the UNC Wilmington big man, Obi-Oha, or Harlan Obi-Oha. I don't want to butcher the name. Obviously, you set up a visit with him, and before the visit even happens, he commits to West Virginia. So everyone wants these type of players, and it's a scenario where some people are after the money, some people are after fits, and most of the time it's always about the money. So, hopefully we'll see as things trickle on, because I agree that's definitely the next step is focusing on bigs because they got guards galore and unless Wes is changing the game of basketball and going to go 5-guard sets out there, then we'll see. Anything more on this, guys? I think I'm ready to riff and mailbag and get to watching this game. 4-4, 17:02 left in the first half. Nothing. Chad, you want to sprinkle any golden nuggets out there to the faithful listeners that are here? Or no. Okay.
No.
Okay. All right, let's go ahead and timestamp it. Oh, jeez.
That timestamp brought to you by Quick Paper Supply, your local and family-owned restaurant supply company for all your non-food products. Quick Paper services over 150 restaurants with weekly low minimum next day delivery. They provide a wide range of food service products from to-go containers, cups, custom printed products, eco-friendly, and much more. They also have cleaning and restroom supplies for all your janitorial needs. Call Nick 513-470-2029 and reference Bearcats for 20% off your first month of purchases.
Boom. So
no more ad read. So
welcome to Riffin with Royer. There we go. Well, we'll say, it's grilling, it's a sizzler in the kitchen like Gordon Ramsay. Time to riff with Royer. What do you say? Take it away.
All right. I know you guys are kind of hinting at, what we need to do to fill some of these gaps in the roster, and being that we just got Creasa and Sincere. What do you guys, is there any name any player that we played against that you thought would fit well into this team, kind of like your ultimate top of your wish list for like a portal ad for this team going into next season basketball?
Yeah, I think we'll get the front court of Darian Williams and JT Toppin. That would be awesome.
I'm going to say Jaden Quaintance. I think I'd enjoy him. I know he's coming off of the ACL tear. I think he'd be fun here. But we'll see where he lands.
But real quick, Chad, before you give your answer, pretty funny that both of these players that we've added so far in the portal, yet again, players that we've played against in the past. So coaching staff scouting report them, and then all of a sudden they put them at the top of the wish list, it seems like. So kind of funny.
Any other $2.5-3 million guys that you guys want to mention?
This was a wish list, not a reality list.
Exactly.
I mean,
Chad, why don't you give a more reality level?
I mean, a guy like, I know it's a guy that they're involved with. A guy like Jalen Celestine from Baylor is a guy that they're talking to. A lot of that. Yeah, Yaxel Lendenborg, the number one player in the portal. That's my wish list for who they should go get.
He's already committed to Michigan, but we could give more money.
Yeah, you just nothing's binding until he takes a class. So go get him. The kid from UAB, Coleman Cunningham or whatever, is that his name?
Christian Coleman.
Yeah, Christian Coleman. I'm squeezing a bunch of different names together. He's a type of guy that, if you're, I think he's visiting Memphis sometime soon. Kind of an effort, toughness, rebounding. Like, I think that's one of maybe the most important things. Everybody is focused on like getting a scoring back to the basket big, which I agree is something this team has been missing. But if they get killed again on the glass, like they did this year, it doesn't matter. Like, you cannot go into this league and get physically outmatched 4 out of 5 nights like they did this year. So I'm looking at guys that can really hit the glass, kind of again fit that aggressive kind of dog mentality that I think was missing from this team. So a guy like him would help out some. Obviously, I think you still need to keep your name on the board because we're not done seeing guys enter in the portal yet. We haven't even gotten to the last But the last 5 days of the portal is the tampering window where everybody assesses what they have and what they didn't get and how much money they have left to spend. And then they start enticing players into the portal with the promise of, hey, if you come in, like I got 1.5.
Right.
I got 1.8. I got 1.7, whatever. Yeah. Was the Santa Clara wing Tyree Bryan?
Yeah.
Is that him? I don't think UC's recruiting him anymore. I think they exited stage left on that one. Efton Reed, I don't know how Efton Reed has any eligibility. So I'm not going to have any comment on him because I don't know how you get him eligible. Cannon Catchings, I think he's really good. I don't think he's necessarily what UC needs with these last couple roster spots. Not a great rebounder, can score, good offensive player, would help. But I think, if you're going to get a big that can score, they need to score in the paint, and Cannon Catchings is not going to score in the paint for you, really. Shoot a lot of jumpers at a high clip. I like Cannon Catchings a lot. I just, in my mind, what the mold that they need is a little bit different than Cannon Catchings.
For all you crazy followers out there, Celestine, Jizzle did follow him on the old Instagram, and then of course if you hop on BCJ forum, you'll see the man, the myth, the legend said this could be a name to track. So definitely him, and then we'll keep it rolling with that.
Real quick before we keep moving, Jason Sallin says, "Where does it end with the money? I think a lot of folks thought the market would settle after the first year or two. That doesn't seem to be the case. I never thought the market would settle after the first year or two. More money is going to continue entering into the market, which means the market's not going to settle." It's interesting. If you were following along with the House case that was going on today, the judge did mention earlier in the day what Aaron and I and everybody has been talking about all along. I don't see how this gets fixed until there's collective bargaining. But that's not this case, and I can't really get into collective bargaining in this settlement. But until we have collective bargaining, none of this is going to be stable. We have been talking about that for how many years that we've been doing this, Aaron? All of them?
I mean, that particular topic, I think we've been on about for at least the last 2 years.
Yeah. So it's not going to settle until there's collective bargaining. I don't know any way that you can put the toothpaste back in the tube.
Push it really hard. You ever tried that?
Good luck.
Call up Colgate.
But it's smeared all over the sink and the mirror.
Yeah.
All right. Okay. What has been your favorite March Madness moment so far?
The Houston comeback.
Oh, yeah. Oh, I loved it. I loved it. Like, I was just standing in front of that TV, just beer in hand, gripping it, loving it. That was
all right.
Yeah, pause. Gripping the beer. That's it.
You said you loved it, so we had to clarify.
Yes, major pause.
Keep it. Let's go.
All right, Brian. What was that funny one that you?
Well, Aaron, what was your favorite moment?
I have Houston in the championship, and I'm right. So that's been my favorite one, and it came at
Royer. Was that yours as well?
I loved the Colorado State Maryland, essentially 2 game winners.
That closes awesome.
Back to back. Yeah. Well, not 2 game winners, but 2 just great shots right in the closing seconds.
Yeah.
Okay. Lock it in.
Can we get Francis from Houston? Yeah, I'm sure they won't pay a significant amount of money to keep him around.
They've got a 40-year-old coming off their books after this season.
Right.
Yeah. Golly. Yeah, you too. The chat is so funny. Oh, Ryan, you were texting me last night. We were watching we were watching the season finale of White Lotus together, and you were just like, yo, dog, like White Lotus, bro, it's like some good stuff, some good TV. I said, it's good TV. This season's been a little, but it's good TV. And then you were like, hey, is this probably your favorite TV series ever? And I said, what, White Lotus? And you were like, yeah. And I said, nah, dude, no, it's not. It's not. And you said, well, what is? And I said, dude, let's ask this question on the BBP instead. Let's go ahead and break down the BBP and ask this certain question. And so here we are now. Favorite TV series, maybe one that had a great season and maybe kind of wear it off a couple seasons later, or how about favorite singular season of TV?
You made it easy. I was going to say I only like one season of True Detective. Season 1 is literally probably the best film series. It might be. Yeah, it's all time.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Is that
one scene?
McConaughey and Woody?
Yeah.
Yep.
It's
the one scene,
Daddario,
perfection.
The Daddario scene.
Yeah. I'm not talking about Daddario scene. I'm talking, but that was a good scene. I'm talking about the scene when McConaughey was in, projects and just that one camera cut the entire time just follows him all the way throughout. Like that's a phenomenal little 15 minutes straight of TV. But it's a really, really good pick, Ryan. Aaron,
I was addicted to that. I couldn't stop. I would just stay up to like 2 and watch.
It's amazing.
I'm gonna say The Boys. It seems like every episode of The Boys, they have tried to outdo themselves. It's the most ridiculous, absurd show I think I've ever watched. Some of the scenes have been just, I don't even know how you come up with it. You have to be on hallucinogens of some sort to come up with some of the stuff that they have come up with for a TV show. It's incredible and also it's absurd, ridiculous. I don't know how else to say it.
Yeah, I completely agree. I love The Boys. Chad, what you got?
I'll throw a curveball here that
Right.
doesn't get mentioned a whole lot, but I think this season of TV kind of changed the way a lot of those dramas like were shot and scripted. But I've always been a massive fan of the first season of 24.
Okay.
Like it was different. It changed kind of the way that we watched an episode of TV.
Yes.
And Sutherland was great in that role.
Yeah.
Now, that show got away from itself by like season 3.
Yeah.
But the first 2 seasons were outstanding, and it was just a different concept. I really enjoyed it.
Yeah. Well, and also that got a good cult following too. 25. I mean, all these shows got a nice little cult following. Ryan, I think that first season of True Detective, it is hard to stump that. Just the whole entire, just the way that they mixed in, seeing the killer early in and then all the way at the end, it's the guy. The whole thing just ties together perfectly.
You got to watch two close ones. Is Chernobyl. That's really good on Max.
Yep.
And The Night Of. It's with you guys see Severance,
right?
What'd you say?
Is Kate Winslet in The Night Of?
No, it's Irving from Severance. I can't remember his name.
So were you a big Severance guy?
I like Severance. I haven't finished it yet. I think it's really good. I think it's it's generational, I think.
Okay. A couple here. Lost had an amazing following. I enjoyed that as a young gun. Aaron, you were
Walking Dead.
The Wire season 3. Is that the season everybody freaks out about? The Wire season 3.
Wire's crazy amazing.
The Wire's lined up for me.
Yeah, you gotta watch it.
Righteous Gemstones was up there for me. I mean, that's another show.
Danny McBride.
Absurd and always trying to outdo itself.
How about this Walton Goggins fella? He's making a name for himself, and then all of a sudden he's all over TV. But yeah, Lost.
He's
Ozark.
in Fallout, right? He was in the Fallout series. Yeah. Fallout's pretty good.
Yeah, I like the first season of Westworld. I liked
House of Cards is pretty good.
House Cards.
I'll
Let's
bring
see.
up one that doesn't get a lot of attention, but if you watched it, for some reason I love shows that are great right out of the gate, and then by like season 4, you're like, I've invested so much time in this bullshit. Did you guys ever watch Weeds?
Yeah.
The first season, yeah.
That first season was like another one that was just like, oh, this is what we're doing on TV now.
That definitely got away from itself, though. It was
yeah. But that first season of Weeds was phenomenal. Like legitimately, oh, this is TV now, huh? Okay, we're doing this. By season 3, you were like, oh, we're not doing this. Really? We're doing this?
Steven in the chat real fast. I was going to say Breaking Bad before Chad brought up Weeds because Breaking Bad, phenomenal. Phenomenal.
Yeah. I was when Kelly and Kelsey and I went to LA, we had an early morning straight flight from CVG to LA. So we're on the because Kelly's sick at that point in time. She had the oxygen and everything. So we're on the moving escalator, right?
Yeah.
Have I told this story?
No.
We're on the moving escalator to go to our terminal. We had like a 6 a.m. flight. And all of a sudden, this dude, like 6'5", like big dude, is like, excuse me, please. You know who it was?
Who?
Kevin Nealon.
Okay. Damn, he's that big?
He's huge. And I guess he had just done Go Bananas the night before, and he was flying back to LA that morning. And I like kind of fanboyed because I love Kevin Nealon, and he was awesome in Weeds. He was awesome in Weeds.
I'm sure he loved the fanboy too, so probably made his day. But
and then he sat like one row over and one row back from us in first class.
Okay. Another show that I kind of
Kevin Nealon.
A very random show that I kind of liked. The Leftovers on Max is good. Shameless is another good one. We could go on and on, but we got to hop in this mailbag. So let's timestamp. Let's hop in the mailbag. Let's rock. Let's roll. We got 16-13, 9:28 left in the first half. Pretty good game so far.
Rock fight. Quick Paper Supply, your local and family-owned restaurant supply company for all your non-food products. They provide mostly disposable restaurant supplies, to-go containers, cups, pizza boxes, to-go bags, can liners, napkins. They've been open since 2009 and are one of the largest minority-owned companies in the city. Call Nick, 513-470-2029, and reference Bearcats for 20% off your first month of purchases.
Roy, I did want to mention phenomenal job by you. Really, truly. As far as football talk goes, we're going to have that in full length a week from today. So Nico coming on the pod, so that'll be awesome. But Aaron, go ahead. Take it away.
All right. We mailbag's light, so hopefully we get out of here quick. Only question in the football portion of the mailbag. What is your starting lineup from all the athletes that used the transfer portal to transfer into the program?
Wait, what?
No, come on.
This will be a segment on next week's podcast.
Sure. So we'll move on from that. Thanks.
Hey, could you guys talk for 45 minutes about something you haven't fully prepared for?
We don't. Me and Brent haven't even seen these dudes practice. I don't know. Do you see DDT assume he is returning as a? This is the basketball portion of the mailbag, by the way. Do you see Dede Thomas assume he is returning as a 25-26 starter at either the 1 or 2, with the other choices at guard being Harris, Creasa, Tillery, Jizzle?
I think it's possible. I don't think it's a sure thing. I think those 5 guys are going to have to battle it out for 2 spots. Like, I don't think Jizzle is guaranteed a starting spot.
What if Connor Hickman's back? Is that a 6th name in the mix?
I think the only way you do this fairly is you let them all fight for the spots. And I think Harris can also, in this league, play some 3. so you can get maybe a little more scoring at the 1 and 2 and play him at the 3 with 2 of those other guys. But I can't say I see him as a starter, but I can't say for sure he's not. I think we're a long way away from figuring that out.
All right. Are there any players who are waiting to see the roster before deciding, and also a portal guy waiting to see if a certain player enters the portal or not?
No, I don't think players really look at it from that perspective. They look at it as, will going in the portal make me more money, or will I make more money staying where I'm at? And that's generally where those decisions are made. They're not watching. Now, maybe if you're on a team and you're a power forward and they bring in 2 frontline power forwards in front of you, you're going to look at the situation and go, this seems odd. Maybe I'm not in as good a position as I thought I was on this roster, and you go portaling. But I don't think it's impacted nearly as much by that stuff anymore. It probably used to be. Now it's more about, is my value better where I'm at, or is my value better where I'm going?
Mm-hmm. All right. As Chad has been noting for weeks and is now clear, there's going to be a lot of new bodies around next year. How big of a priority do you think the staff will make UC taking a foreign trip this summer? And how big of a priority do you think they should make it?
They wanted to schedule one this past year. I'm sure they'd want to schedule one this year. Will the university fund it? That is not, if you're sending your team to the Caribbean or sending your team to Europe, you probably got 20 people in the travel party. You got to charter a plane. Like, it is not an inexpensive trip. And guess what? Right now, all the money is going to paying the players. Everything they can scrape together is going to paying the players so that you can get the best players. If somebody steps up, if a donor or a booster is willing to maybe foot a good majority or a large majority of that bill, maybe it's possible. But in terms of is Cincinnati going to come off of, couple $100,000, whatever it is to fund that trip? I think that's a tough spot to be in right now with the arms race that is going on in roster building, and Cincinnati not getting a full share from the Big 12 until July 1st, 2026. That money is not on hand.
Speaking of, a foreign trip overseas, my question and thought is, as you see teams start to look at at players available that are not in the States. I know Corey Evans has connections everywhere, and this, that, and the other. I'm interested to hear, Chad, as you speak more with Corey and whatnot, if taking international players is an option. It is something.
It's always going to be an option,
right? Or like a realistic option this offseason.
Here's the hard part with that, Brent. Most of that stuff doesn't happen until the summer.
Right.
Because these guys are playing with their club teams, whatever. Like that window is not on the same timeline as like the U.S. transfer portal window. So It's going to depend probably on what do you get, what are you able to get, and then what do you maybe have to pivot and say, okay, we've got XYZ left over. Let's go try to get one of the better Euros to come over and fill a spot. It's a difficult question to answer in year 0.5 for Corey Evans.
Exactly.
Maybe next year, the year after, there's a little bit better understanding of where you're at, what your roster's like, what you can do, what you can't. Right now, the sole focus is on, let's get this thing right as quick as we can get it right, as efficiently as we can get it right.
Yep.
And then we'll go from there with what's left over.
All right, another fun one. Who is your 8-man rotation that used the transfer portal to transfer away from UC?
I mean, not that many have, but
Yeah, like the transfer portal's been open 3 years.
so Gabe
Like,
Matson, was he even
Vic,
part of the transfer portal era?
no, I think he was before.
Right, Vic definitely. I guess you got to throw all three in that are currently in to even make 8. Mason,
Mikey had elite speed.
yeah,
He did.
true.
He didn't
Good
really
point.
have a whole lot else, but he did have elite speed.
Yeah.
Tari
Garrett
Eason went in the transfer portal, right?
Oh, was he before?
No, I
Or
think
was
that
he-
was year 1 of the portal.
Okay, well then, so Gabe. Ooh, but Gabe was the
Gabe
year
left at the
before,
beginning
yeah.
of that season, so he entered the transfer portal, or he was a transfer, not entered the transfer portal.
Right.
I think that's semantics, but I think it's fair.
Yeah. Okay, I think we did a
Okay.
good job. Chris Vogt
Great
at
job.
center.
Good work. Chris
Moving
Vogt at
on.
center. Jeremiah Davenport, Micah
Yeah.
Adams Woods.
Yep. And I think we've built the full team.
Yeah, we're good.
Do you know why season ticket renewals are so early this year? We are still on the fence waiting to see who we got.
I believe they actually put them out a couple weeks later than normal, so they weren't early this year. You're just in a different place mentally on whether you want to renew your tickets or not.
I think Pat Kendunk is a junkie and he's going to get his tickets, if I had to guess.
Yeah.
Do it, Pat.
With Skillings and Rayvon gone, who is going to do the handshakes during player introductions?
Since Paul, I guarantee you there will be. Dan was not the DAT master. Ray was the DAT master. The DAT master is always like the 9th or 10th guy on the bench. And his specialty is pregame handshakes. They will find a DAT master. They will find a DAT master for sure.
Well, and also you got to remember that CJ Anthony's gone too. He was pretty good at the DAT master too. So
yeah. So
A lot of shoes to fill.
Start over from scratch at DAT master.
Important role.
Jalen Stowe is going to be doing the handshakes during player introductions. And Anon12385551_ asks, do you have an estimate as to what percentage of the NIL dollars went to Creasa and Harris? I see you, Trilly.
No. I don't think they were high ticket items, but I think they were reasonable ticket items. You bought something at market value. CJ Anthony transfer. That's been the plan all along. Raj.
Nothing official though, but yeah.
No, but like that, he redshirted this year
Right.
so he could transfer down a level and play. So that's what he's going to do.
That's the mailbag.
Wow.
Nothing else?
There are no baseball. There is nothing in the banks.
Well, Chad, you had a long drive, and it does seem
did.
like Houston is flexing everything they've got on Florida. Florida seems a little shook right now, so I cannot wait to watch the rest of this first half and the whole entire second half. Guys, star-studded lineup on the next couple of pods, as Chad mentioned. Brand new GM Corey Evans hopping on the BCJ pod on, is that Wednesday, Chad?
Wednesday at 8, yeah.
Wednesday at 8. Make sure you check that one out. And then, of course, next Monday, we will have the man, the myth, the legend, Nico Palizzetti. And that is when the guy below me, the boy, Ryan Royer, shines. Cannot wait to have Nico back on the pod. But shouts to Cincy Light here in the Cincy Light Studios. Shouts to Danco Transmission and Auto Care. Shouts to Quick Paper Supply. And shouts to my guys. So, stay locked in. A lot of stuff is going to happen the rest of the week here on the BCJ. So without further ado, for my guys, for the crew, for the squad, Aaron Smith, Chad Brendel, Ryan Royer, I am Brent Young. Yet again, another fantastic BBP presented by BearcatJournal.com.
See ya!